Hey YouTube, it's your girl Dr. J, and I thought I would come and do a quick video on a topic that's near and dear to my heart, and it is about expanding your child's vocabulary. Research has shown that children with an expansive vocabulary tend to do a lot better on things like standardized tests, especially high-stakes tests like the SAT and ACT. They also do much better with reading, especially when it comes to decoding new words in context, because they have a lot more words to draw from. It also helps them with just communicating with other people, because if your language knowledge or your words are limited, you really are limited to communicating well only with people who have that exact same word bank that you have. But the more expansive your word bank, the more you're able to communicate with a large variety of people. I see this a lot even in my college classrooms, where I have some students that come in, and if they have a really expansive vocabulary, they tend to do much better reading college level texts, have an easier time writing essays, and have an easier time putting together presentations. So it really is advantageous for your child to have an expanded vocabulary. Sometimes with my own children, the biggest benefit that I've seen of them having an expanded vocabulary is when they have a need. For instance, if my children, if they come and say that my arm hurts, they can say, is it my forearm? Is it their tricep, bicep, wrist, elbow, shoulder? What exactly is hurting? And is the pain a throbbing pain, a shooting pain, a dull pain, a sharp pain? So that we can get the most precise care as possible. A lot of times when you go to the doctor, the first thing they do is start asking you questions. And the more questions that you have, the more you can get to a diagnosis easier. And you also risk less over medication. When my children come to me, they don't just say, my throat hurts, but they can say, my throat feels dry. Okay, I know that that's water and, giving you a lollipop. Okay, my throat feels scratchy and itchy. Okay, that's lemon and honey. Whereas, my throat hurts really bad, and it, feels, the pain is sharp and it feels like something's stuck in it. Okay, I know that that means that, they're about to have a cold, so we can treat it that particular type of way. So being able to talk about, what sort of issues they're having, even with their emotions. If your child is stuck and the only thing that they can say is, I'm mad, that really doesn't give you as much information as if they can say, I'm disappointed, I'm frustrated, I'm, offended, I'm angry, I feel ashamed. Being able to really be more precise in their words allows them to get their needs met a lot faster. So that's why I'm a big fan of having an expanded vocabulary for children. So how do we expand children's vocabulary? So that's what I'm going to talk about for the rest of this video. One great way to expand vocabulary in children is through having a good children's dictionary. This one is McGraw-Hill Children's Dictionary, and it's really good not just for small children but for older children. It's good as well, and it has a lot of words, and I found that having a dictionary handy is great. My daughter, she's really good with language, and she will ask what words mean if she doesn't understand the precise meaning. And I found that there are a lot of words that it's just better for me to go to the dictionary than to try to explain it, because I didn't have the words to define it for her. Words like, she would say, what does excited really mean? I'm like, okay, let's look that one up. Or she would ask, like, what is a country? And although I knew what a country was theoretically, and I could tell her, where the United States is a country and Canada is a country, she was like, what is a country? And so being able to look it up and talking about, it has defined borders and a political system, that was much easier than me trying to just theoretically talk about things. So we have McGraw-Hill, and because you guys know I never look things up in just one place, we also have Scholastic Pocket Dictionary, and it has a lot more words than the Children's Dictionary. No pictures, but still lots of really good information. So make sure you have access and your children have access to a good dictionary, and have it all the times. Every time you're reading a book and they come across a word that's new for them, stop, look it up, define it, and make sure that your child can own that new word for themselves. Another great way to expand your child's vocabulary is to have a good thesaurus. This thesaurus is McGraw-Hill as well, and I think it actually came packaged with the McGraw-Hill Children's Dictionary. And a thesaurus is going to give you alternatives to a word. So it's going to have the definition of the word. It's going to tell you if it's a noun or a verb, or sometimes words can be used as both a noun and a verb. And it's going to give you additional words that you can use with it, synonyms, and it will also give you antonyms. So for this one, it's destruction. So it says, other words you can use is ruin, death, end, havoc, decay, annihilation, demolition. So your child will be able to have those words and figure out when those substitute words are going to fit. And then it also has the antonyms: creation, rebirth, renewal, and restoration. So really fun. Another book that I have is a Scholastic, and it is a dictionary of synonyms, antonyms, and homonyms. And again, it just gives your child more words to choose from. For instance, if they look up the word describe, it'll tell them that they can also use draw, delineate, portray, explain, illustrate, define, picture, depict, represent, relate, narrate, and recount. And antonyms are confound, confuse, mystify, misrepresent, caricature, and distort. So it's just going to, again, give your child a lot more words that they're going to be able to draw from in the future. This book I'm also a fan of. It is by Scholastic, and it's called Banish Boring Words. And, basically if your child wants to use a word, and say the word is covered. And there's, okay, you can use blanketed, buried, camouflage, carpeted, cloaked, clothed, coated, concealed, disguised, eclipsed, enclosed, enfolded, enshrouded. You get the point. But it's another, really neat book, and your child can expand their vocabulary from there. Another way is with specific dictionaries. This is an illustrated dictionary of physics, and it is based on lots of different physics type topics are covered in it, but it's also going to just expand your child's vocabulary. So whatever, your child may not be into physics, but if they're into chemistry or biology or anything like that, any of the sciences, you're going to be able to find an illustrated dictionary of that particular topic. And as your child goes through it, it's really going to expand their vocabulary in that area. So another thing that I really like for expanding vocabulary is ABC books. This is an ABC book of African animals by National Geographic, and I like this one because the animals were different than what you would find in other books. A is for antelope, and I think it was H is for hippopotamus, not hippo. I is for impala. So again, it's going to introduce your child to some new terms. This is G is for Google, and it is a math alphabet book. So, as they're going through the alphabet, A is for abacus, and let's see, M is for Mobius strip. So it's just lots of new words for your child to encounter in these books, and it's kind of fun, and it's just going to expand the words that your children will be able to draw on. Another fun way to expand words is to have books about words. This book is about miscellaneous vocabulary disaster, and you can find other books that are similar to this, but it's just books that are about words. A lot of times books that are about words will have a lot of additional words that are going to be good for your child to be introduced to and be able to play with. Learning another language is a great way to expand your child's vocabulary in their native language. So, with my kids, we are, we dibble and dabble a little bit in learning, Japanese, Mandarin, Spanish, French, and Hebrew. So, for instance, with this Japanese picture dictionary, the children not only have the Japanese word, how to write it in Japanese, how to pronounce it, and it's also used in a sentence, but it also has the English word as well. So it's just going to make sure that your child, understands the English words as well as the words in that new language. So learning a language is a great way of expanding your child's vocabulary. Another great way of expanding your child's vocabulary is to have lots of books on things that they like. My kids are all into animals, so this is a book on dogs. My daughter's into cats. My oldest son is into ferrets. And it's just what I'm trying to find. Just any page, it asks, why do some dogs' ears stick up while others flop down? And the answer is nature designed the dogs with triangular ears to stand up straight like a wolf's ears. Those stand-up ears form a cup that allows a dog to hear sounds 4 times farther away than a human can hear. So it's like the language is really good, but it's all these questions that, kids want to know about dogs. So it's going to keep your child's attention. My daughter is into ballet, so we have this first lessons in ballet book, and one of the things that I didn't know about ballet until she started was that ballet terms are in French. And so as we started to go through the book, she learned some French words, and she learned things like let me find like pas de bras and plie. It says plie is a basic bending and stretching of the knees. Begin with demi-plie, which means half plie, and so it's just, things that, it had a lot of new words because you just don't use a lot of dance terms in your everyday language, but because we use those terms, and it talked about arm position and leg position, turnout, and all that sort of stuff, it's just a lot more words for her to be able to draw from. My the other half of the Wonder Twins, he is into building, and so I'm a big fan of getting kids real books, and this book was on glass houses, and because he just loves building all kind of houses with blocks, Legos, different things like that. So it had beautiful pictures for him to look at, but the way that the words were written, it was a lot of new words for us to encounter as we went through the book, and it increased his knowledge of architectural type terms, but it also increased the word bank that he'll be able to draw from in the future. And this one is a children's book, actually, and it is it has 8 books in one, and it is on different types of transportation. So I really like these books because it talks about the various different types of transportation, but it's going to introduce them to new words for those particular things. Like this page is on farming words, so they have bale, suspension, threshing, all those terms that are specific for that area, but it still, again, builds on that word bank so that they have a lot more words that they can choose from to use in conversation. I have found books of poetry are great for building children's vocabulary, and it doesn't matter. I don't care if you're using this is a child's anthology of poetry. You can be using Dr. Seuss books. You can be using, Shel Silverstein's Where the Sidewalk Ends. It doesn't matter. It can be fun. But poetry, in order to get it to rhyme, you often have to pull in some words that you don't normally use. So I think poetry is awesome for building children's vocabulary. Like this one, it's, things and sorrowing and trimmed and tied and paid and spade and loan, known, stumbling, and so all these words that, no, they're not going to be something that you use in your everyday language. They're often things that we don't find a lot of times in traditional children's books. So it's going to be a way to expand your child's language in a really much more natural process that's fun for the children. Good grammar books are also important. I really love Michael Clay Thompson books that are from Royal Fireworks Press. This one is on Grammar Town, and it just has so many things like this. It's about what's an article, and what are nouns, verbs, prepositions, but the flow of the pages is just so laid back and so soothing. It's like watching a beautiful piece of artwork, but it's all about words. So it's a really neat introduction. And this one is on building language, and it is also by Michael Clay Thompson at Royal Fireworks Press. And like for instance, this section is on stems, and so it says sub, which means under. We find sub in English words to wit: subtract, sublime, subscribe, submit. Submarine and suburb, then we get substitute, subsoil, and subway. They fit. So everything is rhyming, but it's really kind of laid back and just not real pretentious and not real overwhelming. It's just something for your child to really just enjoy the process. So I really like Michael Clay Thompson. And just introducing your child to words through things like this is an audiobook of The Boxcar Children. History Channel, National Geographic, anything like that, they're going to have good things. This one is on George Washington Carver. We watched things on physics and that sort of stuff, and it's just getting my kids used to hearing a lot of different scientific terms that we would all stumble over if we were reading them in the book, but because we're watching these shows on National Geographic and the Science Channel and all through Netflix, because I don't pay for cable, Netflix or Amazon Prime, getting our opportunity to experience these words in context so that if my children encounter them later, they can draw from them with a little bit of understanding. This is another fun one. This is Berenstain Favorites Children's Classics. Peter and the Wolf, The Carnival of Animals, The Young Person's Guide to the Orchestra. And it's just those more like high language type things that you may not want to sit down and stumble through them in a book. But this is an audio book, so it has a lot of music attached to it, so they can kind of listen to this as they're cleaning or playing or whatever and just have it kind of running in the background. But I wanted you to also know that you don't have to be all highfalutin when you're trying to expand your child's language. This is a book that I first bought when I was in middle school, and I lost it, and so I ended up buying it again. And it is The Complete Joel's Journal and Fact-Filled Art Book. Yes, that is the name of the book. And I pulled it out so that I could prove a point. Hello, children. And I'm going to read to you guys one of the fart definitions. So it says, the skill saw fart, a truly awesome fart. It vibrates the farter, really shakes him up. People back away. It sounds like an electric skill saw ripping through a piece of half-inch plywood. Very impressive. Not too common. Very good words. Those were words that, okay, we got some good words that we can pull out and look up and begin to use in our conversation. So even though it is a joke book, it's full of really neat stuff. Another joke book that I like, Hello Child of Mine. My boy, whom I love, has good stuff. Calvin, yes, from Calvin and Hobbes. If your child is reading Calvin and Hobbes novels, again, it's, I can't imagine, okay, Amazon delivery at my door, so I got to stop now. Basically, build your child's language through all these fun new books. Exciting, over the top. So guys, do it. This is Dr. J, and I'm out. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.